Hey, good morning, seventh graders. How's everybody doing today? Today we're going to be talking about colonizing North America. This is chapter 3, section 3, colonizing North America. Let's begin with our vocab to start off the screencast here. There are 5 terms total in chapter 3, section 3. All 5 of these terms are on this worksheet. All 5 of these terms are also appearing on your Quizlet page, and your Google Classroom feed will normally be updated each day of the week when we're preparing for quizzes with those vocab decks from that particular week. So this week's quiz terms, Chapter 3, Section 3, you can also find on Quizlet.com and on your Google Classroom feed. Let's look at the vocab terms for Chapter 3, Section 3, colonizing North America. First word, Northwest Passage, which is a waterway through or around North America. A waterway through or around North America. The Protestant Reformation. Martin Luther's movement. He was a monk, a German monk. Martin Luther's movement of protest against the Catholic Church, the Protestant Reformation. Coureurs du bois. Coureurs du bois, it's a French term meaning runners of the woods. Really, it literally means runners of the woods. French colonists who worked and lived in the woods is our definition. French colonists who lived and worked in the woods of North America. Missionary. Earlier vocab word was mission, a place where people learn the Catholic faith. A missionary is a person who goes to another land to win converts for a religion. And lastly, alliance. An alliance is an agreement between nations to aid and protect one another. So let's continue on with our reading for the screencast. During the 1500s, European nations searched for new ways to reach the riches of Asia. Explorers from England, France, and the Netherlands, including John Cabot, Giovanni de Verrazzano, Jacques Cartier, and Henry Hudson, good old Henry Hudson, hoped to find a direct route through North America, which they called the Northwest Passage. Now, the Northwest Passage was believed to exist. Explorers believed and hoped they could find a waterway through or around North America. Now, we know today that there is not a waterway. We know through satellite imagery and we know through detailed maps that there is no waterway that runs all the way through North America. But in the 1500s, these explorers were looking for a Northwest Passage, which they believed would take them entirely by water through North America. No such route was ever found, but explorers in the process mapped the territory of North America, leading the way for European settlement. The competition among European nations for new riches was intensified by their religious differences. After the Protestant Reformation in 1518, European countries were split between Roman Catholicism and Protestantism. Roman Catholicism and Protestantism. Okay? Protestant England and the Netherlands fought against Catholic Spain and France for resources and land, both at home and abroad. And despite religious differences, all European nations wanted colonies in North America. And as a result, all of these nations that are looking to colonize in North America, to include France, to include England, to include the Netherlands, all these countries that are looking to colonize are all bringing their religious beliefs with them to North America. And many of their religious beliefs, although they're all Christian faiths, many of their Christian beliefs differed. And this would cause differences and arguments and sometimes bloodshed between people of different religious backgrounds. A rivalry began between the settlements of New France and New Netherland. The first French settlers were coureurs du bois, trappers, and Catholic missionaries. Led by Native American guides, the French explored and claimed huge areas of land for France. The Dutch, meanwhile, established trading posts along the Hudson River. Yes, our Hudson River right here in nearby Albany. Both the Dutch and the French relied on the fur trade for riches, and both sought Native American alliances. Both the French and the Dutch looked for Native Americans to side with them in their trading, in their desire for trade, and also to side with them in their battles and their skirmishes against the others. Fighting between the Dutch and the French and their allies grew intense, but for many years, neither side was a clear winner. Let's look at our questions that appear at the bottom of the reading now. And before actually we look at the questions, take note that we have a chart here titled French Colonies in North America. So this chart is going to focus on the French presence in North America. And this is going to be important to answer question 2. But let's look at question 1. Answer the following questions on a separate sheet of paper. We are going to discuss these in class today. You will not need to answer these necessarily on paper. You can jot down, if you have a paper copy of this worksheet, you can jot the answers down, but we're not going to do this outside of class. We're going to do this in class. List the countries that sent explorers to find the Northwest Passage. Again, just to kind of restate what we've talked a lot about already this year, when you are asked a question following a reading or following a document, the first place to find the answer to that question is going to be where? In the document. Okay, so we're going to look in the document to find the answer to this question. List the countries that sent explorers to find the Northwest Passage. I'll give you, ladies and gentlemen, a moment to answer that question by referring to your reading. Question 2, the chart skills question, you're going to rely on the chart to answer this question. Why did the French build forts along the Mississippi? Now, to answer this question, refer to the chart, and you're going to look at the reasons, and there are six pieces of information, rather. You're going to have to determine, based on reading these 6 pieces of information about French colonies in North America, why did the French build forts along the Mississippi? Please refer to the chart now to answer that question. Now that your questions are done, when we come back our next screencast will involve detailed discussion about the Jamestown colony, which will be the first permanent English settlement in North America, and that will take place at Jamestown, Virginia.